Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this HHS Office of Research Integrity Technical Assistance webinar for the Ensuring Research Integrity Conferences Funding Opportunity. My name is Karen Wayner, and I'm with the Office of Research Integrity. I'm joined today by Mr. Dwayne Barlow from the Grants Management Division in the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health. First, we'll have Dr. Wanda Jones, Acting Director of the Office of Research Integrity, say a brief welcome.
Welcome. Really grateful for everyone's interest in taking time today to learn more about this funding opportunity. Karen, back to you.
Thank you, Wanda. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and kick this off with the next slide because we have quite a bit of information to get through today. I'll start with a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. All participants have been muted, and today we'll provide an overview of the funding opportunity announcement and the competitive application requirements. We invite you to submit questions throughout the webinar in the Q&A window on the right side of your screen, and please ensure that you select the option to send your question to all panelists. And we'll respond to the questions during the Q&A session and in the FAQs document, which will be posted later. The webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be available on ORI's website. Please note that the information provided in this webinar does not supersede any of the content of the Notice of Funding Opportunity, or we'll refer to it as NOFO for short. The NOFO is the written document that will govern the competition. We strongly encourage you to subscribe to the NOFO on grants.gov to ensure that if there are any revisions made to the NOFO, you will receive the notice. Next slide, please. ORI's mission is to promote research integrity, prevent research misconduct, and protect science, public health, and public health service funds. Next slide. Core to ORI's mission is the development and implementation of education and outreach activities that aid PHS-funded research institutions in their efforts to teach the responsible conduct of research, promote research integrity, prevent research misconduct, and respond effectively to allegations of research misconduct. ORI's Ensuring Research Integrity Conference Grant Program contributes to this mission by supporting conferences that advance the evolving field of research integrity and build the knowledge base in research misconduct, research integrity, and the prevention of research misconduct and detrimental research practices. Next slide. This notice solicits applications for projects to plan and implement conferences on research integrity and compliance with 42 CFR Part 93. In-person and virtual conferences will be considered for funding. Next slide, please. A total of up to $100,000 is available for 2 to 4 grant awards, with a project period of up to 1 year. Next slide, please. Conferences or workshops must be designed to provide a forum for discussion and to produce tangible outcomes related to at least one of the following themes: fostering an environment that promotes research integrity and the responsible conduct of research, prevention of research misconduct, effective handling of research misconduct allegations, training in the responsible conduct of research, or other topics that are linked to research integrity and compliance with 42 CFR Part 93. Next slide. The purpose of this initiative is to provide assistance for those concerned with research integrity to meet to discuss issues and topics related to promoting the responsible conduct of research, preventing research misconduct, and/or addressing issues that arise after an allegation of research misconduct is brought forward at an institution. Applicants should design their meeting to bring together experts from diverse areas of research, education, administration, law, and government, so that they can present research findings, discuss effective tools, programs, approaches, or support or facilitate discussions that lead to the development or implementation of new tools, programs, or approaches. And this, of course, is all to help prevent research misconduct and promote research integrity. Next slide, please. We expect the recipient to plan and implement a conference, assess conference outcomes, and disseminate knowledge and materials resulting from the conference. On the upcoming slides, we'll take a closer look at all of these expectations. Next slide, please. ORI expects recipients to plan and implement a conference that provides a forum for discussion and produces tangible, measurable outcomes related to at least one of the following themes. The themes are fostering an environment that promotes research integrity and the responsible conduct of research, prevention of research misconduct, effective handling of research misconduct allegations, training in the responsible conduct of research, or other topics that are linked to research integrity and compliance with 42 CFR Part 93. Tangible, measurable outcomes may include, but are not limited to, demonstrated retention of knowledge, sharing of knowledge gained, change in practice, and/or strategies that can be operationalized to improve research integrity practices. Next slide. ORI expects recipients to develop and implement a comprehensive evaluation strategy to assess conference outcomes. Recipients may assess outcomes through post-evaluation data or other appropriate means. Next slide. And when it comes to disseminating knowledge and materials resulting from the conference, ORI expects recipients to develop and implement a comprehensive time-frame dissemination plan to ensure that materials, products, and knowledge generated through the conference will be disseminated beyond the participants attending the event. We also expect that recipients should articulate in the dissemination plan the specific approaches that they will use to amplify the reach and ultimately the diffusion of key points and materials that emerge from the conference. And although publications in peer-reviewed journals are encouraged, recipients should work to achieve broad, multi-channel, nationwide dissemination of materials and key points resulting from the conference. Where relevant, recipients should develop materials that are culturally and linguistically appropriate. Next slide, please. All right, so the project narrative is the most important part of the application. Since it will be used as the primary basis to determine whether your project meets the minimum requirements for an award under this announcement. The project narrative should have a clear and concise description of your project, and HHS-OASH recommends that your project narrative include the following components: project description, innovation, outcomes, evaluation, dissemination, project management, and environment and organizational capability. I'll briefly discuss each of the components on the upcoming slides, but please refer to the NOFO for the full details about these components. Next slide, please. For the project description component, you should, next slide, explain the rationale for the proposed conference and define the gaps, needs, and/or issues on which the conference will focus. Describe the scope and breadth of the gaps, needs, and/or issues, indicating if these are primarily national or international issues. Should also indicate how the proposed conference will contribute to addressing the identified gaps, needs, and/or issues. Next slide, please. You should also describe the nature of the activities to be undertaken and why these specific activities were selected. Present a clear connection between identified research integrity gaps, needs, and/or issues and the proposed activities, being sure to explain how these activities will assist in achieving the overall project goals and objectives. You should discuss potential problems, alternative strategies, and benchmarks for success that will be necessary to achieve the goals. You should provide specifics about the proposed conference agenda, venue, speakers, attendees, materials, dissemination plan, follow-up strategies, and expected outcomes. Next slide, please. Additionally, applicants should include in the project description a description of the target audience and how you will advertise the conference and encourage attendance. Describing the extent to which technology will play a role if applicable. You should describe the role and makeup of potential consultants needed to be involved in completing specific tasks. You will want to identify the level of effort each individual is anticipated to provide in completing programmatic activities. This includes roles that research administrators, research integrity officers, research faculty, professional societies, publishers, editors, or others outside of your organization will engage in to help accomplish this project. If a non-US location is proposed, it will be important to justify the selection of that non-US location. Next slide. All right, so for the innovation component, we'll look at that on the next slide, please. You should describe any novel approaches or methods you intend to employ to fulfill the conference's purpose. If utilizing approaches or methods that do not diverge substantially from the existing practices, describe the novelty in the application of those methods to the topic or conference. Reference, where applicable, existing approaches for the purpose of contrasting the novel approaches or methods that you propose. You should also describe how the conference will draw together appropriate experts who may otherwise not have an opportunity to convene. Next slide, please. We'll take a look at the outcomes component on the next slide, please. In the outcomes component, you should keep the focus of this section on describing what outcomes will be produced by the project. And then use the evaluation section, which we'll discuss later, to describe how you will assess the project outcomes. You will want to specify the tangible or measurable outcomes that will result from your project. A tangible, measurable outcome is an observable end product or end result that results in, that describes how an activity, event, resource, or approach helps the intended audience. It is something that is large enough to be noticed, and it demonstrates the impact of the activity, event, resource, or approach. Next slide, please. In addition to what you include in the narrative, you must describe how you envision the project will benefit the field at large here in the outcomes section. In addition to discussion in the dissemination section below, you will want to describe how you will report the outcomes of the project. Next slide, please. Now for the evaluation component, next slide. You should describe the methods that you will use to assess and evaluate the impact of the activities you propose. You want to describe the quantitative or qualitative tools and techniques that you will employ to assess and evaluate the outcomes, and how you will identify and document the lessons learned. Next slide, please. You should also describe how you will evaluate knowledge retention and application of the knowledge gained, changes in attitudes, or other key outcomes that may or may not emerge prior to the conclusion of the conference. You should describe how you will collect and report data and how you will ensure the validity and reliability of these data. Next slide, please. For the dissemination component, next slide. You should describe a comprehensive timeframe dissemination plan to communicate key findings to stakeholders, the public, and/or others who might be interested in the results of the proposed project. You'll want to describe strategies for broad multi-channel dissemination of key points and materials that emerge from conference events and activities, as well as the degree to which these key points and materials will be disseminated. Next slide, please. And finally, you will want to describe the method you will use to disseminate the project's results and findings in a timely manner and in easily understandable formats for the PHS-funded research community, the public, or others who might be interested in using the results of the project to inform practice, service delivery, program development, and/or policymaking. Next slide, please. For the project management component, next slide, please. You should identify the principal investigator, collaborators, or other researchers, including subrecipients, contractors, and consultants proposed for the project. You'll want to include a clear delineation of the roles and responsibilities for each contributor, their relevant experience, and how they will contribute to achieving the project's goals and outcomes. You'll want to identify the individual who will serve as the principal investigator or project director and that individual's qualifications. HHS and OASH expect that throughout the award period, the principal investigator or project director will be involved in and have substantial knowledge about all aspects of the project. Next slide, please. You should specify who would have day-to-day responsibility for key tasks, such as leadership of the project, monitoring the project's ongoing process, preparation of reports, and communications with collaborators in HHS OASH. And finally, you should describe the approach that you will use to monitor and track progress on the project's tasks and objectives. Next slide, please. All right, for the final component, the environment and organizational capability component, next slide, please. You should describe the research or scientific environment of your organization and how it will contribute to the probability of success of the project. You want to describe how your organization is structured, the nature and scope of its work, and the capabilities it possesses. Describe your organization's capability to successfully implement the proposed project. And this will include, or should include, a description of the institutional support, equipment, and other physical resources available to the principal investigator, project director, or other project personnel. Next slide, please. You want to describe the organizational investment in the success of the principal investigator or project director and the proposed project. Next slide, please. You should describe the capabilities of your organization, not included elsewhere in the program narrative. If appropriate, you will want to include an organization chart in your appendices showing the relationship of the project to the current organization. You'll want to include information about any contractual or support staff or organizations that will have a secondary role in implementing the project and achieving project goals. You want to describe collaborations in the application and accompanying letters of commitment. Next slide, please. You should describe the proposed in-person or virtual conference venue and articulate the characteristics or features of the venue that make it appropriate for the conference activities. You want to provide a contingency plan for modification of in-person meetings in the event of a resurgence of COVID-19 or precautions under other public health emergency conditions. Next slide, please. And finally, I'd like to point out that there are a number of appendices that should be submitted as an attachment. This includes the work plan, letters of commitment from subrecipient organizations, consultants, and agencies, CVs, resumes, or biographical sketches for key project personnel, a description of the facilities and resources available, and citations for references that are included in the project narrative. All items described in this section will count toward the total page limit of your application and must be submitted as a single electronic file uploaded to the attachment section of your grants.gov application. Now I'll turn it over to Mr. Dwayne Barlow from the Office of Grants and Acquisitions Management, who will talk about the competitive application requirements and process. Dwayne?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dwayne, and again, I'm from the Grants and Acquisitions Management section of our team, and we're going to talk about the application process at this point. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So submission dates and times, your application is due by 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, May 17th at 2023. Your submission time will be determined by the date and time stamp provided by grants.gov when you complete your submission. You're strongly encouraged to submit your application a minimum of 3 to 5 days prior to the application closing date. Grants.gov may take up to 48 hours to notify you of a successful submission. And keep in mind that if you fail to submit the application by the due date and time, we will not review it and it will receive no further consideration. Next slide, please. So, eligible applicants for this NOFO. Universities, hospitals, laboratories, or other public or private institutions and individuals are eligible to apply for an award under this announcement. Faith-based organizations and American Indian, Alaskan Native, Native American organizations that are public or private entities are eligible to apply. Community-based organizations are eligible to apply. And foreign institutions, that is non-domestic U.S. entities and foreign components of U.S. organizations are eligible to apply. To receive an award, the proposed activity must provide a domestic benefit, such as promoting research integrity among PHS-funded institutions, both within the U.S. and abroad. Next slide, please. Cost sharing or matching. You're not required to provide cost sharing or matching in your proposed budget. If you voluntarily include cost sharing in your application, you must include in your budget narrative a non-federal sources justification as described in Section D, or your application will be disqualified. Voluntary cost sharing is not expected for research applications. During the merit review of an application, cost sharing will only be considered in the overall review of the adequacy of the total proposed budget, that's federal and non-federal share, to support the project proposed. Applications including cost sharing or matching, whether required or voluntary, that result in an award will include the cost sharing or matching commitment on the notice of award at the level proposed in the application. Any change in the responsibility to provide cost sharing or matching at that level will require prior approval from the grants management officer. Next slide, please. Application responsiveness criteria. So we'll review your application to determine whether it meets the responsiveness criteria in Section C3. If your application does not meet the responsiveness criteria, we will disqualify it from competition and we will not review it beyond the initial screening. The responsiveness criteria are as follows, and we just want to mention here that there are no other application responsiveness criteria. Next slide, please. The notice of funding opportunity announcement. So the NOFO that we've been talking about provides information and guidance related to the applications. Please read the entire funding announcement, follow the NOFO carefully, and keep in mind that the information provided in the NOFO takes precedence over any conflicting information in other documents, including this presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, address to request application package. So you can obtain an application package electronically by accessing grants.gov at the URL that you see here. That's www.grants.gov. You can find it by searching the assistance listings, formerly known as CFDA, number found on page 1 of the NOFO. The assistance listing number is 93.085. Please be sure to subscribe to the announcement in grants.gov so you receive notification of any updates to the NOFO or supporting documents. Next slide, please. So with regard to application submission, OASH requires that all applications be submitted electronically via grants.gov unless an exemption has been granted by the grants management officer. If you submit an application via any other electronic communication, it will not be accepted for review. Grants.gov is a website portal. All funding opportunities and grant application packages are made available on www.grants.gov. An application will not be considered valid until all application components are entered into grants.gov and received by the HHS Office of Grants and Acquisitions Management, according to the deadline specified in the submission dates and time section of the NOFO. You can contact grants.gov with any questions or concerns regarding the electronic application process, or you can give them a call at 1-800-518-4726. Next slide, please. Okay, so your applications must be submitted as 3 different files. File 1 should include the entire project narrative. File 2 should include the entire budget narrative, including supporting documentation described in the budget narrative content section. File 3 should contain all documents in the appendices section. Please note, required standard forms do not apply towards page count limitation in the submission requirements as stated in the disqualification criteria. Next slide, please. Any files uploaded or attached to the grants.gov application must be of the following file formats. So you can use Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Adobe PDF, or the following image formats. So you can use a JPEG, GIF, TIFF, or BMP only. Microsoft Excel files will not be accepted. HHS.gov strongly recommends that electronic applications be uploaded as Adobe PDF. If you convert the PDF prior to submission, you can prevent any unintentional formatting that might occur with the submission of an editable document. You can check your page count for your PDF and/or print the file to ensure that the document does not exceed the page limit. Next slide, please. Remember to be complete and do not leave blanks on forms unless the information is clearly not applicable. The individual submitting the application forms must have the legal authority to act on behalf of the organization. Next slide, please. To ensure successful submission of your application, carefully follow the step-by-step instructions provided at the blue URL that you see on the screen here. These instructions are kept up to date and also provide links to frequently asked questions and other troubleshooting information. Next slide, please. So here are your application elements. With regard to forms, you have an application for federal assistance, or your SF-424. You have budget information for non-construction programs, which is the SF-424A. You have the disclosure of lobbying activities, which is the SF-LLL. Then you have your project abstract summary. Files, project narrative, submit all project narrative content as a single acceptable file. For the budget narrative, submit all budget narrative content as a single acceptable file. For the appendices, submit all appendix content as a single acceptable file in the attachment section of your grants.gov application. Next slide, please. You want to be sure to follow project narrative format instructions in the NOFO. Your application will be disqualified if it does not conform to the format requirements. You must double space the project narrative pages. You must use 12-point font. You should use an easily readable typeface such as Times New Roman or Arial. You may single space tables or use alternate fonts, but you must ensure that the tables are easy to read. For appendices and budget narrative, you should use the same formatting specified in the project narrative. Appendix documents such as resumes may use alternate formats common to such documents. Next slide, please. Okay, the unique entity identifier. So you're required to provide a unique entity identifier, or UEI number, when applying for federal awards through grants.gov. You will find instructions on grants.gov on the website as a part of the organization registration process at the blue URL that you see below there. Please note that effective April 4, 2022, grants.gov transitioned to the new 12-digit UEI obtained as a part of the SAM registration process. And for more information on that, take a look at the blue URL that you see right below. Next slide, please. Okay, the System for Award Management, or SAM. So if you are registering a new entity in SAM.gov, you need to create a login.gov account if you don't already have one. If you are renewing your registration, your old SAM.gov username and password will not work anymore. You'll need to create a login.gov account if you don't already have one. Keep in mind that the minimum time frame to complete an initial SAM registration online is 30 minutes. The time frame for An applicant's registration to become active is up to 10 days and may take longer depending on volume. Your SAM registration must be renewed each year, and the average time frame for updates in SAM.gov to appear in grants.gov is up to 72 hours. Next slide, please. We strongly recommend that applicants check for an active registration in SAM well before the application deadline. If you're successful and you receive an award, you must maintain an active SAM registration with current information at all times during the active award. If you've not complied with the SAM registration requirements, HHS may determine that you're not qualified to receive an award and may use that determination as a basis for making an award to another applicant. So should you successfully compete and receive an award, keep in mind that all first-tier subaward recipients must have a UEI number at the time that you, the recipient, make a subaward to them. Next slide, please. Funding restrictions. If you're successful and you receive an award, by accepting that award, you agree that the award and any activities thereunder are subject to all provisions of 45 CFR Part 75, currently in effect or implemented during the period of award, other department regulations and policies in effect at the time of the award, and any applicable statutory provisions. Keep in mind that your costs must be allowable, allocable, reasonable, and necessary direct expenses or indirect costs in accordance with regulations and current policy. So indirect costs may be included per 45 CFR 75-414. Applicants should indicate which method or rate will be used for the application. Keep in mind that pre-award costs are not allowed, and the current salary limitation is $212,100 effective January 2023. Next slide, please. Budget narrative and forms. Keep in mind that those budget narrative and forms must be consistent with the requirements of the NOFO. Budgeted costs must reflect proposed activities. Budget line item descriptions and justification requirements should be explained or are explained, in the NOFO. Suggested table formats are also in the NOFO. You should also look to the NOFO for information about a plan for oversight of federal award funds. And keep in mind that forms, narrative, and detailed justifications do not count towards page limit. Next slide, please. Application disqualification. So if your application does not meet the following requirements, it will be disqualified and receive no further consideration. So again, it must be submitted electronically via grants.gov by the due date and time, unless an exemption was granted 2 business days prior to the deadline. If you successfully submit multiple applications for the same project, we will only review the last application received by the deadline. HHS-GAM needs to deem your application as eligible, and your project narrative must be double spaced on the equivalent of 8.5 by 11 page size with 1-inch margins on all sides and font size not less than 12 points. Your project narrative must not exceed 30 pages, and the total application, including project narrative, must not exceed 75 pages. Next slide, please. Other application disqualification criteria. So keep in mind that your application must be in the English language and must be in terms of US dollars. Your federal funds request, including indirect costs, should not exceed the maximum indicated in the award ceiling. Your federal funds request, including indirect costs, must not be below the minimum indicated in the award floor. If you have included voluntary cost sharing or matching, you must include that in your budget narrative, or must include in your budget narrative a non-federal sources justification. And you have to make sure that your application meets the application responsiveness criteria. Next slide, please. And again, as we said before, there are no additional responsiveness criteria for this opportunity. Next slide, please. So, supporting documentation and disqualification. Applications that lack the required supporting documentation and or submit additional appendix files will not be disqualified from competitive review. However, this may impact your application's rating under the evaluation criteria. So please be sure to follow the submission instructions carefully. Next slide, please. So the application review criteria, as you can see here, they're all equally rated, and that in those areas will be project description, outcomes evaluation and dissemination, and project management and environment and organizational capability. Next slide, please. Application merit review. So eligible applications will be evaluated, commented on, and rated by a panel of independent reviewers with technical expertise in the applicable fields according to the criteria listed in the NOFO. The merit review panel process is formal and confidential. Federal staff are available for questions and to ensure the process is consistent and fair, but do not participate in the discussion and scoring. Then the applications are reviewed by GAM staff or grant staff for administrative and business compliance, and then by ORI program office staff for programmatic compliance. Next slide, please. So with regard to funding decisions, the director of the Office of Research Integrity will make final award selections to be recommended to the Grants Management Officer for risk analysis. Upon completion of the risk analysis and concurrence of the Grants Management Officer, HHS will then issue notices of award. Keep in mind that no award decision is final until a notice of award is issued. And all award decisions, including level of funding, if an award is made, are final and you may not appeal. Next slide, please. Okay, more about the funding process. So we're not obligated to make any federal award as a result of this announcement. Only the grants officer can bind the federal government to the expenditure of funds. If you receive communications to negotiate an award or request additional or clarifying information, this does not mean that you will receive an award. It only means that your application is still under consideration. All award decisions, again, including level of funding, if an award is made, are final and you may not appeal. Next slide, please. Okay. When we review the risk posed by the applicant, we'll evaluate each application in the fundable range for risk posed by the applicant before issuing an award in accordance with 45 CFR 75.205. OASH will use a risk-based approach and may consider any items such as the following as stated in the NOFO. So we'll take a look at an applicant's financial stability, the quality of management systems, and the ability to meet management standards. We'll look at your history of performance. We'll look at reports and findings from audits performed, and we'll take a look at the applicant's ability to effectively implement statutory, regulatory, or other requirements imposed on non-federal entities. Next slide, please. Okay, here's a bit about the plan for oversight of federal award funds. If your internal controls are available online, you may provide a link as a part of your plan in the budget narrative. We've also included supplementary information in section I of the NOFO, which contains questions applicants may find useful in considering their recipient plans for oversight of funds. Next slide, please. Okay, risk review resulting in non-funded determination. So if we determine your organization does not meet either or both of the minimum qualification standards as described in 45 CFR 75.205A2, and we do not make an award to you as a result, we must report that determination to FAPIS if certain conditions apply. Keep in mind that the information reported in FAPIS is available for other organizations to review when considering you for an award. Next slide, please. Now we get to the notice of award. So the notice of award is a document that notifies the successful applicant of the selection, their selection, the award amount, project, and budget periods. It includes any conditions on the award, in other words, requirements that must be met as a condition of receiving the grant funds. And it includes the standard terms, excuse me, reporting requirements, and contact information for OASH GAM and the program office. Next slide, please. Points of contact. So GAM is the official contact for awardees throughout the award lifecycle. All official communication related to the award is between GAM and the successful applicant. Unsuccessful applicants will be notified by the program office via letter. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's a summary and some tips. So with the project narrative description, please be clear, complete, and concise in the project description. Follow and address exactly what is requested in the NOFO. Don't make your reviewers search for the required information. Generally, the easier the application is to review, the better the rating. Keep in mind that reviewers are not allowed to do external research or follow embedded links, things like that. Clearly identify the sections of the application and indicate which component is being addressed. Keep in mind that the project narrative must include all required information within the page limit. Do not use appendices to expand the page limit. Next slide, please. With regard to your project narrative description, please make sure that the goals and objectives are SMART, that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time frame. Activities presented in the work plan should relate directly to the proposed goals and objectives. Program work plan, evaluation plan, and budget should provide a complete picture of how the applicant will address the needs as well as address the purpose and expectations that are outlined in the NOFO. Next slide, please. With regard to staffing of the project, the staffing should be appropriate and reasonable for the goals, objectives, and activities of the proposed project. Please be complete in describing what staff will do, the expertise required, and the percent time they will be assigned to the project. Next slide, please. With regard to your budget, the budget should include adequate funds to carry out the proposed work plan, evaluation plan, and administrative responsibilities of the project. The budget should be reasonable and relate directly to the goals and objectives of the project. Do not request more funds than are available as listed in the NOFO. This amount is inclusive of indirect costs. The operating budget should be complete and include federal and non-federal funds, projected program income from fees and third-party players, and other contributing funds. Next slide, please. So here's some overall tips. When you're completing your applications, include full names, first, middle, and last for an authorized official, principal investigator, project director, and all essential personnel. Keep in mind the electronic submission of your application is required. Do not wait until the last minute to begin SAM registration or update your registration. Do not wait until the last minute to begin the electronic submission, or problems could arise. One other thing I want to include that's not exactly on the slide is that when you're completing your SF-424, please make sure that the name of your principal investigator or project director is included in section 8F of your SF-424, and make sure that the authorized official who represents the organization's name and information is listed in section 21 of the SF-424. Next slide, please. Okay, if you have questions about the NOFO, you can reach out to a couple people. For program questions, you can reach out to William Campbell. You can see his email here and his telephone number. If you have administrative, or financial questions, you can reach out to me. My email address and telephone number is also listed on this slide. With regard to electronic submission requirements, grants.gov applicant support, you can use the actual website, which is www.grants.gov. You can email them at support@grants.gov, or you can use the telephone number. I think we talked about it earlier. That's 1-800-518-4726. And keep this in mind, please, with regard to grants.gov. Please don't contact OASH program or the grants office staff for grants.gov issues because we don't manage that site. So we wouldn't be able to help you with that. Next slide, please. Thank you very much for your time. And at this point, I'd like to turn it back over to Karen.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. And now we're going to open it up to questions from our attendees. And I realize that this particular webinar does not have a Q&A function at the bottom, so please use the chat function. And if you could ask your question to everyone, if you feel comfortable, please do that. All right, so the first question is related to where the website, where this recording and NOFO can be found. The NOFO is available on grants.gov. So if you go to grants.gov, I think that one of the easiest ways to find that is to type Office of Research Integrity or the NOFO number into the search function, and you can pull it up that way. I believe, Dwayne, we're still putting recordings of the sessions on grants.gov this cycle. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and so that will be where you will also find that information. We still have a few minutes left in this session, so if anybody had a question they were working on typing, don't panic. We're going to be here for several more minutes. Go ahead and type that in. Doesn't look like we have any more questions coming in, so I'd like to thank everyone who attended today's presentation. You can find updated information or information about the funding opportunity at grants.gov. Thank you.